All right, everybody, I'm not quite sure how to do this. I'm just not. So bear with me. I get emotional at times. I don't want to be maudlin because we should be celebrating John Sterling's life, but it's tough when you lose somebody that's close to you. And so I guess I'm talking to people that, I look at John as one of the closest friends I've ever had. And the funny part is the people that are listening or watching right now probably feel the same way, because you spent 36 summers with him as the voice of the Yankees on the radio. And the good news that he brought you, the 5 championships that he brought you, all the great moments that he brought you, he was your friend. That's why baseball on the radio is the greatest thing of any sport. Baseball is built for the radio. You could take the radio with you anywhere you go, the beach, the pool, anywhere, in the car, wherever you're driving.
Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Yankee Stadium. Tonight, the New York Yankees mourn the loss of their longtime radio announcer, John Sterling, who passed away this morning at the age of 87. John was the voice of the Yankees for 36 years and 5,651 games, including the last 5 World Championships. At this time, we ask you to direct your attention to the video board in center field as we remember John Sterling.
He is part of the fabric of baseball in the biggest city in this country.
For many generations, there will only be one, the voice of the New York Yankees.
The Golden Pipes, John Sterling.
Man, the voice of the Yankees, you turn on a lot of those old highlights, so many great calls, the home run calls especially.
The voice for so many years, so many huge moments, legendary moments.
Your voice has been synonymous with some of the biggest moments of the last several decades, especially my childhood.
It's kind of that voice that we'll always remember, and championships, World Series that he's saying out, and just that voice will kind of always be echoed for eternity. So we're forever grateful for John and everything he's done.
Gonna miss his calls, his home run calls, that booming voice, but what a remarkable career.
Stepping up to the microphone is the voice of the New York Yankees. Here is John Sterling.
Well, Susan, thank you. And once again, good afternoon, everyone.
And John Sterling was with you for 36 years, starting in 1989. Had a streak of over 5,000 games where he didn't miss a game. Just didn't. And, news of his passing today hit me very hard. And I found out from Susan, John's ex-wife Jennifer, wanted to just, get the news out there and told Susan. And Susan told me, and, we tried to contact as many people as possible, but there's so many people that John meant so much to, and certainly I was one of them. It's hard talking about him in the past tense, because I've never met a man who was more full of life. I mean, he just wanted to have a good time, and he lived life on his own terms, his own rules. That's what he was about. One of the great lines he ever gave me, we were on a plane, a Yankee charter that landed in Toronto. And the custom agents would come on the plane. They do that sometimes. This was before 9/11.
That's baseball, Susan.
And they would check people on the plane rather than have them wait in line at customs. And John just turned to me and goes, I don't understand it. Why do there have to be rules? Why can't people just do what they want, go where they want, and not have to be checked and searched? I just don't get it. I said, John, that's not the way the world works. And he goes, well, it should. It's just ridiculous. And that's how he lived. He didn't like rules. He didn't like executives telling him what to do. He just wanted to go on the air and be John Sterling. So when people ask me, what was John Sterling like? The guy that you spent 36 summers with, that's what he's like. That was him. Now, he said, I'm doing my act. He did the Broadway show tunes and the home run calls and all of that. But that was John. That was John if you're talking to him in a bar. John, if you were walking with him in the city, that was him. And the best way I could describe him was a man with an absence of malice. I never saw him go out of his way to try to hurt somebody, ever. He just wanted things to go the way he wanted them to go, with the least resistance, where he could be John Sterling without any encumbrance or any speed bumps or anything like that. And I don't say that in a pejorative way at all. I wish that I had his joie de vivre, his ability to not stress over the little things. I really do wish that I had that. And I observed it for the 10 years that we worked together. I spent more time with him in those 10 years that I spent with most people in my life. Every game, 162 games, and we were lucky enough to have that unbelievable championship run, 96, 98, 99, 2000, and 2021, where they didn't win a championship. They went to Game 7 of the World Series in that otherwise awful year. And 2021 makes me remember when people say, what's your favorite Sterling call? And I go, my favorite Sterling call
here is John Sterling.
Is
Susan,
the final
thank you. 1-0 Seattle, bottom of the 8th. One out,
play
going on. Here's
in Game 7 of the 2001 World Series. I'm sorry. And Luis Gonzalez gets that hit against Mo that won the series for the Diamondbacks. And you might say, well, why is that your favorite call? Because to me, it was the perfect exhibition of the greatness of John Sterling. People called him a homer, that he just wanted the Yankees to win. And he did want the Yankees to win. I mean, he was an unabashed Yankee fan. He grew up a Yankee fan in New York, and it meant the world to him to have the stature of being the voice of the Yankees on the radio. It really, really did. But you have a lot of people around sports that are voices of teams. And when something big happens for the opposing team, it sounds like they're down in the dumps. If you turned on, if you get a chance today, go to YouTube or wherever these calls are stored and listen to John's call on Luis Gonzalez's World Series winning hit. And you would think that he was the voice of the Diamondbacks. He called it with the same excitement, with the same joy that he would have called it if the Yankees had won. You know, if they'd won their 4th straight championship and held on there. Because he had a job to do. He had a job to do, and he did that job to the best of his ability. He had a one in a lifetime kind of voice. And one of his proud things, and I would always tell him this, he worked into his 80s. And if you listen to him, there's tapes of him, calling the Atlanta Braves for Turner. And then you listen in 2000, let's say 23. And the voice is exactly the same. And you'll hear older broadcasters and they lose some timbre in their voice and they sound older. John sounded like he was 25 years old, and he said that his voice was a gift from God. It really was. John Sterling, to me, was one of a kind. I had never, ever in my life met anybody like him. And I know that as long as I live, I will never meet anybody like him. He was one of one. And for all those people, and we'll take your phone calls of the memories, that he meant something to you. Believe me, it meant the world to him.
He's done it again.
To be the voice of the Yankees. It really did. It was everything. He worked all around at the beginning of his career and called Islander games, called net games, called a talk radio show. He hosted a talk radio show on WMCA. Then he went to Atlanta, and then he came back in '89, got the Yankee gig on radio. And they were trying times for him. They really were. I was a writer then, and we would talk a lot. And it drove him crazy how bad the Yankees were. I made a mistake, man. I made a mistake, my boy. He'd always call me my boy. I made a mistake. I should have stayed in Atlanta. I mean, this team I mean, they're dreadful, and they were bad. You know, his first 2 years, he worked with Jay Johnstone, and the team was bad. Then the year after that, he worked with Joe Angel, and he and Joe did not exactly hit it off, because Joe was like a straight arrow.
Here comes
and John would call a broadcaster like Sam Straight Arrow. And John was not Sam Straight Arrow. And then Joe Angel just left. He knew it wasn't going to work with John. So after 1 year, that job opened up. And after many different tryouts and discussions with people and making tapes and stuff like that, somehow I got the job.
The 1-1.
And John used to always tell me the story. You know, he knew the final 5 people that worked for the job. And he listened to all the tapes, and he did tapes with all of us. And, you know, they asked him, well, who do you think? He said, well, I know who I want. But I'm not going to tell you. I'll let you tell me who you think it should be, and I'll tell you if you got it right. So they came back and they said they were going to offer me the job. And he goes, that's exactly who I would pick. He said, because we can have fun on the air and have a conversation. And to my fortune and his fortune as well, you know, my first year was 1992 with John, and that was the last year the Yankees had a losing record.
In a single season.
And after that, it just started to roll. And I would see John get so upset when the Yankees would lose. And I was a journalist at heart.
Now, I'm going to introduce to you my newest partner on Yankee baseball on WABC radio, Michael Kay. Now, you know the name Michael Kay because Michael Kay has been one of the outstanding sports reporters for both the New York Post and Daily News and has covered the Yankees over the last 5 years. He's also done contributions to MSG Television, and where Yankee Magazine is being shown right now.
I slowly worked my way. I had always wanted to get into this side of the medium, so I never really shut myself off from it. And I'm thrilled. I don't think it's going to be a problem, to tell you the truth. I just love the idea of doing the games with you and doing MSG again, so I'm ecstatic.
Wow, 28 years ago, David, 28 years ago, 38 years ago, what am I talking about, 38 years. I'll tell you what, I miss him dearly, and I think you know he loved you. He really did.
No, he was one of a kind, you know, and I'm a better person for having known him, actually getting to know him as a broadcaster. You know, up here, as a player, you know, you kind of know him, but certainly on this side of the fence up here, you get to know him better. It was remarkable.
Orioles coming at 15-19, and the Yankees 23-11, the JS on the back of the Yankee cap to honor the memory of John Sterling, who passed away today at the age of 87.
Well, this is why.
And this was my first foray into broadcasting, other than college.
This is
and
absolutely the reason.
I once asked him, I said, John, why do you get so upset when the Yankees lose? They don't care if we have a bad broadcast. Why do you get so upset? He goes, Michael, my boy, let me explain something to you. If the Yankees win, then all of a sudden, we'll be bringing good news to people. And when you bring good news to people, then they like you. And if the fans like you, you're going to have a job for a long time. And boy, was he right. Because we started bringing good news to people in '94 when they had the best record in the American League and the strike hit. Then '95 when they went to the postseason with Seattle. Then '96 they won the World Series. I mean, we were so fortunate, and you know, for John to be the soundtrack of those years, the last real Yankee dynasty, it meant the world to him. It really, really did. The only thing that meant more to John than the Yankees were his children. John didn't talk about his childhood all that much, but when he did talk about it, it didn't sound that happy. You know, he became an adult when he was 6 years old, where, you know, his family or his mom and dad would have cocktail parties in their home, and John would be serving people drinks, and he wore that little blue blazer and a jacket and tie, which he always wore as a radio announcer. He didn't have any TV obligations, but he felt an obligation to represent the Yankees in the right way, and he came to the booth dressed like that all the time. But just from the things he told me, there wasn't much outward affection when he was growing up. And because of that, when he had his 4 children, He talked so glowingly about them, and he said to them every day, every single day that he saw them, how much he loved them. And he would hug them and say how great they were and this and that. And they were the world to him, the absolute world. And so a couple of months ago, John was having trouble, and he was having trouble breathing, and he was rushed to the hospital. Now, this is an 87-year-old man, and they said that he had essentially so many heart attacks in that day when he was having trouble that it would have killed most people. And they had to perform open heart surgery. And I was talking with doctors who were in contact with his doctors and stuff like that, and they were so pumped up how great he did. You know, he came out of it, and he was lucid right away, and he was talking, and we spoke on the phone, and he sounded just like John did when we were calling the World Series in 1996. And the thing that would get to him as he was recovering was that because he was bedridden for a while after the surgery, he had lost the ability to walk. And that was frustrating for him. So he was undergoing rehab and things like that, and he was really pushing it. And I said, John, don't push yourself too much. And he said, his oldest daughter is getting married this summer. And he said, Michael, I have to walk her down the aisle.
Sweeney takes time out of the batter's box before getting back in, a left-hand hitter. 2 outs, no one on, bottom of the ninth. The Yankees have a 3-0 lead. They are on the precipice. The stretch and pitch. Hit on the ground on a hop to Brocious. Fields, throws across, in time. Ball game over. World Series over. Yankees win.
And that's why he was hanging on.
Yankees win.
But he had trouble about a week ago.
The New York Yankees,
heart failure, and he finally succumbed today.
Has once again,
but he'll be walking it down.
Everett for the 24th time in their illustrious
as he looks down
the New York
on his family.
Are world champions.
David Cone is 1 out away from a perfect game. It'll be a
the one thing he wanted to do.
He popped him up. He's going to get it. Brocious down from third.
He was unable to make it.
Makes the catch. Ball game over. A perfect game. A perfect game for David Cone. The third time.
Let's hear from you.
Like a charm. It is the third perfect
1-800-919-3776. Start with Rico in Buffalo. Rico.
Michael, I'm the voice of Buffalo sports. It's a tragic, tragic day.
The crowd standing.
To find out about the loss of John Sterling.
And Rivera cool as a
What
cucumber.
a wonderful, wonderful man.
Swung on, hit in the air to left center.
But I have to tell you, Michael, the overall feeling in the city of Buffalo is for you. Everyone is saying, poor Michael must be devastated. Just devastated. So I'm going to say this. I pray that your grieving does not last for an extended period of time. You were so blessed to be able to spend so much time with that man.
And ready behind the microphone with the play-by-play is John Sterling. Good evening,
it's hard
John.
to explain.
Well, Michael, good evening.
Michael, I'm 70 years old. You can imagine how many baseball games I listen to. But one of the people, one of the radio announcers made a statement this morning, and I want you to clarify it. He said that John announced 5,060 consecutive baseball games. Is that humanly possible?
It is. And I used to tell him once, I went over to the Yes Network, Rico, you should slow down. The streak doesn't really mean that much. And it meant a lot to him. And he kept going until he physically could not go. He got so ill that we were worried about him at the time. And it broke his heart to have that streak end. It meant it so much to him. It really did. David on the east side. David.
Now Rivera is set.
Michael, how can I follow that? What a heartbreaking story on top of the already sad news. I just wanted to share what I thought was the random happy memory of John Sterling that I had. I'm in my mid-30s. He goes back as long as I can remember the Yankees. And what was amazing about the way he called games is he just had that distinctive booming voice, right? That it was one of one. And the way he called games was so brilliant. You could listen to him on the radio, and this is not true of every radio announcer. You could really listen to him on the radio and have a full picture of the game in your head. And the memory I wanted to share is I was a teenager at summer camp, way up in deep upstate New York in the mountains. And I just remember having my little Walkman radio, as they had back then, fiddling with the antenna, trying to get the tuner just right, and hearing nothing but static hiss. But then you could hear the faintest hints of John Sterling's deep booming voice, and you knew that no matter where you were, you could listen to the Yankees and have that full picture and enjoy the game in your head. And that's how I want to remember him.
Well, good stuff. That's the way you should. That's the way he'd want to be remembered. Let's go to Matt and Brick. Matt.
Michael, thank you for taking my call. My heartfelt condolences to you and John's family. This was the first thing I wanted to do today when I found out that John passed away. What I wanted to do was try and lift you up too with John's passing. You have no idea in your life what are the moments you're going to remember for the rest of your life. And 1996, Game 6. I remember I was remodeling this kind of broken down house. My wife and I scraped together money to buy this place, and watching. I listened to so many games that year on the radio. We used to turn down the sound on the TV and listen to the radio. You and John were, it was everything to listen to you guys. And I remember in '96, my wife had snuck out and bought a bottle of champagne because she was sure that the Yankees were going to win. We had our brand new baby girl that year. It was, when the Yankees won and John made that call, my wife grabbed the bottle of champagne. It was amazing. You have no idea how lucky you are as Yankee fans, to be able to see those championships and hear, guys like you and John, calling these games. It just, it's a way to escape our daily lives, and no matter what happens in your life, you can kind of come back and fit right in and listen to a Yankee broadcast, and you guys lift us all up. So, once again, I know you have a lot of guys to get through. Thank you very much for being with us all these years, and we love John, we love you, and we're glad we have you.
Let's go to Spencer in East Windsor. Spencer.
Thank you, Michael. Sincere condolences on the passing of John Sterling. And you're right about that call about the World Series. That's the first call that I think of when I think of John Sterling. He captured both his objectivity, he captured the disappointment and the lamentation of the Yankee fans. And we were on the cusp of winning 4 World Series in a row, and then that hit. It all was gone, but he was just so great when he made that call. A couple other things I remember. I remember him calling the Nets game with Sarah Kusak. And I remember what I liked about it was, here it was, the voice that I was familiar with, who usually called balls and strikes and hits and home runs, was now calling baskets and rebounds and timeouts and fast breaks. It was both alien, but it was very enjoyable as well. Your interview with him on Center Stage, especially when he gave an account of his sister who passed away. That really got to me, and seeing him allow himself to be emotional about it, it got to me. Also, finally, I don't want to take up too much time. Paul O'Neill and Meredith, when you guys could talk about how you called him up, you'd have a conversation with him. And minutes into the conversation, he wouldn't know he was talking about, who he was talking to. I thought that was so funny. It was so John Sterling, but it was a great moment, and it really gave me a smile. It uplifted me. I'm going through my own challenges myself, but I appreciated it. And so again, I wanted to wish you sincere condolences. We are all feeling the loss today, Michael.
Thank you. You know, John was very hip. You know, he knew exactly what was going on. He knew today's entertainers and stuff like that. He loved the old stuff, but he was not great with technology. And I think that was the thing that ultimately drove him to retire as well, because there was a paucity of newspapers in all the cities that we went to. And I would tell him, John, you know, his kids asked me, what should we get my dad for his Christmas? And I said, just get him an iPad so he can read. You know, he loves to read. He loves to read so much. Get him an iPad, and then you get every newspaper in the world on an iPad. And John fought it. And he did finally get a cell phone, but it was a flip phone. So he didn't know who was calling. He didn't know how to store names or anything like that. He would write names down on pieces of paper, and he'd have these white pieces of paper in his pants pocket. And if he's trying to call Michael Kay, he'd look for the Michael Kay piece of paper and things like that. And then when you called him back, he didn't recognize the number, and he'd wait a while. And then I always would say, John, this is Michael. So he wouldn't have to fake it, but he would fake it with people until he could try to figure it out. And then when I said, John, this is Michael, my boy. And he would not get an iPhone. He would not use the iPad. I'll tell you a story that will make you laugh. John lived, I'm sorry if I'm sniffling, John lived in his own bubble. And it was a happy bubble. It was a happy bubble. And he would read on every single plane. He would have a mystery novel. He would carry around these mystery novels, paperback. Some of them he read, and over the years I was with him, he'd read them over and over and over again. And he just loved to read. So he's holding a mystery novel in front of his face. And the Yankee charter went into terrible turbulence. And all the players were scared, and everybody was screaming and, gripping armrest, and not John. He just held the book in front of his face and kept reading, and the plane is bouncing up and down. And then it got so bad that the oxygen mask dropped out of the top of the of each seat. And so the oxygen mask is hanging in front of his face as he's trying to read. And he just swiped at the oxygen mask and left.
The New York Yankees have reached the pinnacle of the
It didn't even occur to him
after winning
that this was really dire and that there was a chance that this plane was going down. Never thought of it, kept reading, moved the oxygen mask out of the way. That was John, because John lived in a bubble that was a happy bubble. He only thought happy things. He only wanted happy things to happen. And his happy place was behind that microphone.
In any sport in the history,
it was behind that microphone, and it still was that place, even when he decided to walk away a couple of years ago. And he walked away because it became too hard for him to get to the ballpark. And the Yankees did the nicest things for him. They had a car pick him up at home and a car drive him back. It wasn't like he had a drive, but just leaving his apartment and getting to the booth, it just became too much. But when he was behind that mic, he was 20 years old again, and his voice was the same. He could have done that forever if somehow there was a way to transport him from his home to the stadium, where he could leave his home at 6 o'clock and be at the stadium at 6 o'clock and 30 seconds. But it just became too much for him physically. And then leads to today, which is a sad day, and I don't want it to be a totally sad day, because we should be celebrating this incredible career and incredible life and the legacy he left with his 4 great children.
And now, the first Yankee to amass 3,000 hits, the captain, Derek Jeter.
And the 0-2.
That one's on a deep right. It is high. It is far. It is gone. Giancarlo Caparro.
A Stantonian blast. And the Yankees lead by a score of 4-0.
Wow. I feel like I was a part of one of the greatest calls in history there, Michael.
Happy birthday, John.
Looking over here like, what are those 2 clowns doing over there to the left?
I don't know what he said. I'd like to hear it. Someone told me that Michael Kay is going to do one of the calls.
Well, they're all laughing hysterically over there, so he must
it.
have done Nancy Parlo.
And here on the bottom of the ninth, 2 outs and no one on. Only one man has reached base against Kluber all night. A walk to Culberson, back in the third. Now here's the 0-1 to Calhoun. Hit on the ground to second. Torres throws to first. In time. Ball game over. Corey Kluber has pitched a no-hitter. Corey Kluber came within one man of a perfect game. He pitches a no-hitter, and the Yankees are delirious on the field, celebrating with Corey Kluber in the middle. Here's the 3-1. Swung on that. There it goes. Deep left. It is high. It is far. It is gone. He's tied the babe. It's a Judgian blast. His 60th home run of the year. Wow. All rise. Here comes the Judge. Here's the 1-1. Swung on. There it goes. Deep left. It is high. It is far. It is gone. Number 62 to set the new American League record. Aaron Judge hits his 62nd. All the Yankees out of the dugout to greet him. Just think of it. 3 Yankee right fielders. The Babe hitting 60 and 27. The Jolly Roger hitting 61 and 61. And now Aaron Judge hits his 62nd home run, the most home runs any American leaguer has hit in a single season. And the American League has been alive for 120 years. This is Judgment Day. Case closed. It was fabulous, fabulous, fabulous moment. Believe me, I never thought I'd broadcast a game when a guy would do the 62nd home run, or for that matter, his 60th.
61 years.
Amazing.
61
Just amazing.
years.
Now the 3-2 swung on, a pop foul back here. Ow! 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 It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far. You know, that foul ball actually hit me. It kind of glanced off my forehead. So I took one for the team.
Okay, John. My star of the game is Kyle Higashioka, who wants to know if you're all right. Are you okay, John?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
I am okay. Just a glancing blow.
Just a glancing blow.
Now the 3-1. It's fouled back. And you'll excuse me if I move my chair back. I did. That ball was pretty hard. I don't want to be hitting the eye with that. So it'll be a 3-2 to Volpe. And the pitch is low. David Cohn wants me to change places so I don't get hit again. Thank you. Again, 2-2 to Stanton. And the pitch hit in the air to deep left. It is high. It is far. It is gone. It's a grand slam. Giancarlo, a Stantonian home run. Giancarlo, non si può stopparlo. Non dimenticar. That ball sure traveled far. Giancarlo, he hits a grand slam deep in the left field seats. And the Yankees take a 5-1 lead. Now the right-hander will deal the payoff. Strike 3 is called. Ball game over. And Yankees win. The Yankees win. They win at 8-3. They defeat Toronto 2 out of 3, and they go 8-2. I wish it to them to play 8-2. It's 800. I don't think they can do that.